Hello all, Alison here. Welcome back to Words and Pictures for some more tag time. You join me mid-muse. I'm just gathering things and looking and sort of part way to a decision, almost without thinking. I'm absolutely thrilled to have some of the new Seth Apter dies to play with. Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Sizzix. These are extraordinary. And they will undoubtedly take me on journeys back to some of the grungier stuff I used to do at the beginning, and we kind of headed into a lot of botanicals via watercolour, via stamps, via all that kind of thing. But these will, I'm sure, take me on interesting journeys into the rusty grunginess that I love. But at the moment, what's happening is they seem to be joining some of the botanicals in a really delicate kind of way. This one here just reminded me of those sort of picket fences or broken down wooden fences that you see on sand duney kind of beaches, tucked halfway down into the sand, a sort of slightly abstracted version of that. And because we've been playing with beachy colours in some of the stencil videos lately, I pulled out a couple of those resist backgrounds. I'll link to the video below if you haven't seen it. And anyone who follows me on Instagram will know that recently when I was in Scotland, I spent a happy Sunday morning on Musselburgh Beach collecting mussel shells, which are there in abundance. And I suddenly thought, well, maybe there's a sort of abstract beach game to be played with these. There were a couple of questions around the resist that we did with, where is it, my microglaze, this distress microglaze, that about people saying it doesn't dry. No, if you put it on really thickly, it won't dry. One of the keys is to put it on so that it's really just a sheen, just a sort of skin as you're applying it through the stencil. But then also, once you've finished doing your resist and everything is dry, if you feel like there's any left on the surface, just some kitchen towel just to rub that, dry it, take off any excess. But really the key with the microglaze is a micro layer. There you go, a micro layer of microglaze. So yeah, I've got those distressed backgrounds using those sort of beachy colours. I pulled out some of the Aquilegia / Columbine / Granny's bonnets, stems from my dried flower haul, and I'm just sort of thinking sand dunes, picket fences, and these really delicate frames. So these are amazing because you can cut them as individual pieces, which are great as collage elements. I think that's going to be a big part of how they play in my world. But you can also cut them as a whole, so you get the frame, you get a background, you get the spine as well. This fishy spine is also just a beauty. The numbers were what I sort of started with, but then the picket fence caught my eye. You also get sort of leftover cutout bits, but you can do so much with these. You could use them as a whole like that with different colours. At the moment, I'm sort of leaning to the white because I love that idea of sort of white clapboard houses on the beach, old fences. I debated putting crackle paste. So these, I've actually cut 3 and glued them down so that that's a lot more stable. But the frames, I'm thinking I'll keep much more delicate because there's something gorgeous about that fragility. And at the moment, I'm inclined to leave them in this sort of off-white, just because I'm loving the, anybody who's seen, what's it called, Something's Gotta Give, the house that Diane Keaton's character lives in on Cape Cod, just magic, and walks along the beach, and there's just something in there. And then these mussel shells, I'm just wondering whether there's something about wiring them on or twining them on, just because they're beautiful. My main thought when collecting them, I think, was that I would have a go at painting, watercolor painting some of these beauties. But I've got several, let's say. So the sun is going in and out today. So just to get ourselves a slightly more consistent light, I'm just going to put on the support light so that we get something Just, yeah, see, maybe it's one way up and one the other way up, just for fun. Just still musing. Back in a sec. I think I'm going to have to take all of this off temporarily because I do want some more grassy beach stamping in the background. So I'm going to keep a sort of echo of the positioning on either side so that I can remember what it was I'm after. So that's quite low down, that's over to the right, that's kind of there, that's maybe there. And yes, it's gonna be, what's it gonna be? I think maybe it's these grasses of mine. I was having a look at these sketchy umbles, which I also like. Obviously this is quite a substantial background, so I'm gonna need quite a substantial ink colour. I'm debating between Archival and Distress Ink, because obviously in Distress Ink I could use the Uncharted Mariner, which colour-wise would be a great combination with this. And I'm thinking, yeah, just sort of something that's coming up the sides. Ideally, I'd love to have them in a sandstone-y sort of colour. I mean, I could, yeah, so I could stamp and then emboss in the Earthtone Pepper. And maybe it would be nice, because these are blue and the backgrounds are bluish, maybe it would be better to stick to something less blue for this, so that we keep that contrast. The Earthtone Pepper will make it tone in with these. So yes, I think it's that. For once, I'm going to try and make sure I've got paper ready to stamp with. So Earthtone Pepper, where are you? That's opaque, so it really doesn't matter what colour I stamp in. But let's stamp in something Pebble Beachy, just because I like having that name in. If we're playing with beach ideas, let's stamp in Pebble Beach, eh? So something grassy coming up one side. I'm not sure I pressed that down firmly enough. Is it going to stay on? Yes, it is. Thank you. Yeah, see, you see how subtle that is against that background. That's why I need the embossing in place, to just make it have a bit more presence. Uh-oh, it's sticking to all sorts of things. No, that's fine. With a little tap, it's come off. Grand, so I'll heat that in a second. Might as well do the other bit while I'm at it. I don't think I want to put too much in the way of stamping over these backgrounds. I want... There's going to be a lot going on in terms of 3D embellishments, in terms of those die-cut collage elements. So I think we might just go for one stem on each of them. Let's angle it slightly so it looks different from the one on the other tag. I do love this grassy stamp. It's based on the grasses that I collected and stuck down in Greece. So if you've seen that video with the watercolour pressed grasses, this stamp, when I created it, was actually taken directly from one of those grassy panels. Taken direct, I say. I made the sketch looking at one of those grassy panels and just tried to capture that look of the grassy stems. Now that that one's on, I'm thinking that's got more. Go for another tap. That's not in my stamp. Those want to go. So yeah, just a little, excuse me, a little brush is good to have around if you feel like there's extra bits of, I usually use a much finer one than this, but that's the one that happened to be there. Yeah, I'm already enjoying that before I've even embossed them. So that was the right choice for today. Another day, it might be another stamp. And probably if I'd stamped any other stamps, I'd have enjoyed those as well. You know how it goes. So, and just have a look at that. How they look when they're together. How they look when they're apart. When you're working in a series, that all makes a difference. Right, I'm going to heat emboss these and I'll be right back. There we are. So those are embossed. You can probably catch a little gleam of that Earthtone Pepper. And also while I'm at it, I've just glued them down to a little bit of waste cardboard. Whenever I'm doing dimensional embellishing, I will usually do this. It makes them sturdy enough to hold up to whatever I'm going to land on top of them. But I mean, I do it with non-dimensional embellishing tags as well. I just love that it gives them that bit more presence in the world, that bit more kind of sturdiness and strength. So yeah, I'm almost done. This is the joy of creating with lots of backgrounds and then having things to play with. So anybody who saw the label making session, I've got lots of these also around. I'm just wondering about a little bit of greenery within our world of beach tones. Potentially. I'm enjoying it as it appears there. I'm enjoying it. Specimen would be quite nice. Well, that's going to mix into the background too much. Let's see what else we've got. There's another little ticket, might be quite nice. Some of these have had additional painty decorations, some of them haven't. Okay, let's hold those there. Blue one, potentially. It's interesting, isn't it? As soon as I get these labels out to play, more and more of them start coming. So let's relay our frame. So now what I love is that frame is framing there. I was halfway through a thought, wasn't I? When you make in this way, with lots and lots of backgrounds to play with, lots and lots of bits and bobs that you've made in other sessions, you're just ready to assemble, really. That's what tag time can then become, is a playtime just to see how these different elements interact and play with each other. So if that one's that way up, I think maybe we want the other picket fence the other way up, just for fun. That's quite nice. Let's have a go with cutting this label in half. That's another of the things I like to do when I'm working in multiples. It gives me immediately matching ephemera to go on each side. So I'm thinking maybe something like that, maybe something like that. So yeah, the cut half is going on the edge because the other half has got those little perforations we created with the barber's scissors. Again, that's in that other episode. That's quite nice, isn't it? I think I love it halfway through that frame. So I'm now thinking I'd like to encourage a little bit of that idea elsewhere. Let's cut this one in half as well, and maybe go somewhere up here with it. Again, just catching that frame there. Maybe this one goes along the bottom, look. That's quite nice on its side. I'd like the greener version down there though. So let's pop that there. Let's pop you back. Oh, but then you're completely upside down. Do we mind? No, I don't think we do. I don't think we do mind. It's background. It's background. I think I might want to glue these down before I change my mind. Before I change my mind about this. That there. Or maybe downwards. This one here. Yeah, those are good. I like those tickets. It's the ticket to the beach. It's the ticket for the journey to the beach. And this again is how, as you play, subconsciously, my brain must have been onto that, I think. Subconsciously, my brain must have known, well, that's the tram ticket, or the trolley ticket, or even the train ticket. And maybe the other one is not the train, so this is the railway. Maybe the other one gets you rides on the pier at the beach. If you have such things, is a pier a very British thing? To have the pier at the seaside with entertainments and rides. I mean, I know you'll have entertainments and rides in your US versions of beaches. No problem with that. The boardwalk. You have boardwalks, don't you? I guess that's another thing that this particular die cut would remind me of. Clapboard houses, little sand dune fences half buried in sand drifts. And the boardwalk along the beach. Oh, I'm really enjoying how that's shaping up. There are, as you can see, little drifts of embossing powder that have escaped, but I'm fine with that. That's the stiff sea breezes sending grass seeds out, so there'll be more and more grass seeds for next year. More and more grasses amongst the dunes. I think that's good down there. I like it. The little circular shape is going to echo the curves of the mussel shell. Mustn't forget to leave room for the mussel shell. The mussel shell was well, I say afterthought, But I think, again, my brain may have been onto it. And I just wasn't aware. I'm enjoying that, framing that grass there. I think that's a beautiful little moment of just the grasses being caught in the frame. So yes, I'm going to glue it down while I have that idea in my brain. So delicate, these frames, they're just gorgeous. Right, a little bit too much glue there, a little bit too much glue there. Let's catch both the label and that grassy view. Magic, magic. I'm gonna have my picket fence going somewhere there on this one. Oh, I do quite like it, just in touch with that ticket. Yes, it needs to be in touch with that ticket. On this side, a little higher up. So again, that sense of composition is about repetition and variation. So 2 frames, repeated frames, but slightly different sizes. One's horizontal, one's vertical. So that repetition and variation gives us elements that our eyes can recognize, but then teases the brain with having them in slightly different positions. And again, with that picket fence, I'm playing that same game, repetition but variation. Same with these labels. And for me, it's just a tremendously potent way of creating harmony, creating connection between the 2 pieces. There's sort of cross lines along here that I quite like, and I want to line at least some of them up with the bottom line of that frame. If I line them all up, then my fence is crooked. Do I mind? I think I do. I think I want it just off. But if I go just above with the one at this end and just below with the one at this end, then that's in connection with that frame. I love that. I love that. Okay, so I also love that this is slightly wider than my standard size 8 tag. So I'm getting this lovely sense of overflowing into the outside world. Fences that go for miles. You could just walk and walk and walk along these beaches and just keep going. I think that's a bit too much there, so I'm wondering about losing, hello, all of you, off you go, snip, done. And maybe it wants to go a little more of an angle so that we don't lose that, or maybe we catch that little bit of framing. The other option, of course, is to twizzle it round. And maybe if I'm wiring things down, so you can see that there's a bit of spring in this. It's not going to snap that way or that way. Yeah, actually, I quite like them flat to the thing for once. Where's my other piece? Or we try it the other side so that we leave that grass free. So part of it's going to be around where this shell goes. Does the shell want to be part of the arrangement with that? Maybe it does. There's a beautiful shells covering up quite a lot of that picket fence. So maybe lower? No. Maybe higher? No. That is where it wants to go. But then I can't wire it because that's going to cover up my fence as well. Let's see what you're like with you here. At the moment, again, repetition variation wise, I'm thinking one shell one way up, one shell the other way up. Ooh, that's quite nice. And that leaves me room for maybe a little word. I did have some quote chips out. Make a wish. I wish to go back to the beach. See the world, beaches and all. That's shaping quite nicely. Again, those quote chips just give me that lovely bit of heading out into the world, but there's a bit too much blank space, so I'm just going to trim down a little, I think. There we go. Yeah, that's better for me. So it's echoing the picket fence, but not taking over from it. I think we'll do the same with Make a Wish. Just take a little edging off. These little bits are worth keeping, because if you want to raise something up away from your surface, those are the perfect little bits of card to just stick on the back. and have them help you make a dimensional collage, even more dimensional. That's almost done, I think. I mean, I have to work out how to attach these, but you know, that's the least of our worries at this point. And it shouldn't be a worry in any case. Problem solving is a joy. Problem solving is creativity in action. Enjoying that. Make a wish. Yep. Yep. And yes, it is. Oh, I see. So, I wonder whether we can get that over the top of those. Will it glue down flat? Ah, well, maybe what we have to do is be really clever. Fake it. Fake it till you make it. Okay, so if you're going to be there and you're going to be there, actually I need to cut it lower, don't I? Shucks, this is, now I'm going to have to be really clever. Okay, so we take you off there and we'll take you off there. This is bold. If you're wondering what's going on, I'm trying to glue this down, but then have it look as if these are going to go behind, because they weren't going to work stuck down the other way. I think I'm probably best gluing this first so that I can see where those two other ends need to go. Yeah, so let's glue this. Which way up? Don't think it matters. Let's glue you down like so. A little bit of extra glue we can just wipe away with a spatula. I mean, it'll dry clear anyway, but there's no point having great globules of stuff. Right, so you're going to come out of that one. I could use the thick glue for this, absolutely, but this is the one that's on the desk. You're going to be a continuation of that, like so. Cheating the eye, absolutely cheating. You're going to go like that. Grand. And if you choose to stick up a little bit, that's fine, as long as the main one is stuck down. And again, let's just clear out that extra glob of glue, even though it's going to dry clear. That's working. Unfortunately, having snipped, I snipped before I thought. I now need to glue the rest of that on as well, but that's doable. Let's snip there. See, I got over enthusiastic before I did any thinking, but everything is repairable. There we go. You'd never know, would you? You'd never know. Let's have you, connected to these. I think is quite nice. Still debating, may just glue it down, may wire it down. Haven't quite decided yet. You, I've got less of a problem because this one is not in your way. I want to make sure you're not covering up the wire hole. A bit more of an angle. No, I think straight up is quite good. Let's just check that way. See that it doesn't want to do that. Maybe it does, because then that'll give us more options. Oh, that's good with that following the curve of that. Yes, sold. Unfortunately, that means there's much less of this touching the tag now. I wonder if I can encourage them down onto the tag with a little bit of pressure. Do you hear that little snap? But it's fine. It hasn't actually broken. And as we know, we can fake it afterwards anyway. Yeah, I'm going to use a little bit of my gloopy glue. A little bit of gloopy glue. Oh, look, there's a useful bit of grass to enable me to apply the gloopy glue. So gloopy glue on the back of here, gloopy glue on the back of here. And as I've mentioned before, my gloopy glue is really, really gloopy. I can mix some water into it just to loosen it up again a bit. Haven't quite got round to doing that yet though. And I think I would quite like that third one also down. So I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure to get it to happen. And as I say, they've got a bit of spring in them, these stems, so they'll cope with that. There's our lovely echo. of mussel shell and grass stem. So I think that's very clear where you go. Let's see if we can encourage a similar thing to happen here. Yeah, there's an echo. Look at that. There's an echo between that stem and that bit of mussel shell. And I mean, at the moment, I mean, let me try to finish a sentence. At the moment, I'd be happy without the rust wrapping, I think. At the moment, I feel like that's already interesting. The question is whether my brain wants to sort of understand the shell's attachment to the card. So rusty wire around it would make me understand how that shell is staying there. I might... Ironically, it wouldn't be the rusty wire that was making it stay there. It is the glue doing that. But the rusty wire sort of reassures my brain as I come and look at it. The rusty wire would reassure my brain that this was happening as it's meant to. Oh, I love that. See, I think the rusty wire might detract from the shaping and the positioning. I think it might be a bit much. I did also have these little clock cabochons hanging around. Take it away again, have a look. Trouble with adding a thing is when you then take it away, things look bare somehow. I think it's without. Maybe the rusty wire goes up at the top here. Maybe that's what it is. I don't think we want these. How long have you got at the beach? Just 10 minutes. I only get 10 minutes at the beach today. I mean, it's quite nice, the echo of that and that, but that's covering up our lovely grass, so no. Also, maybe they detract from our mussel shells, which are the main circular element, or circular, rounded element. That's kind of not true because the stems are rounded. And in this one, the background is rounded. Take it away again. And then again, things look empty. Pop it back. Have a look. Maybe that one wants to be there. No. I might need to take a moment just having a look at that, go away and come back. That's my little seed head stem doing duty as a glue stick. Excellent. Back shortly. So I cleared things out of the way a bit so I could have a clearer look at the tags as they are. And I think I do like the clocks, but I think this one's too yellow. I like the white tone of this. So it's either to have one exactly the same, so that's the same clock, or this one is also a whiter tone but a slightly different number font. And maybe that's the answer. That little bit of twig is annoying me, so I'm going to lose it. Let's take it away. Don't want you, sorry. I do like the rusty wire in the top, I think. I think that's going to be a nice sculptural element when I've twisted it. And one of the things I like is it's a bit of an echo of the twisty grasses. That's not quite it. Again, it's slightly about positioning, so that not enough of that little side stem went away. Can I get a smaller pair of scissors would probably be the way to go about that, wouldn't it? Little snips. Just get in there. There we are. Off it goes. Little baby scissors. So now I can push that just a little way further across. In fact, slightly under there. It's quite fun, isn't it? So again, the relationship, this is on that frame, this is on that frame. That's nice. But I am being drawn back to the same clock. I just like the white space of it. Yeah, good. Again, too much thinking is a bad thing. Looking is good. Looking, trying is good. Oh, see, I'm losing the grasses. Okay, that one's got glue on the back. I can't play. Glad I noticed. Is that too high up? Yes, it is. That lovely moment with the framed grasses. What about lower down? So we might be changing our mind now all of a sudden. Do you look better in the middle? In which case your position would be, could be the same. We're still connected to, I'm working with this one because this one's got glue on the back and I don't want to put it down before I know what I'm doing. See, that's quite nice because then there's a relationship. I'm behind a stem, I'm behind a stem. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Again, looking is fine. Too much thinking doesn't help. Does it want to be in contact with the tickets as well? No, that's too near the middle. Oh, that's quite nice with the mussel shell kind of pointing at it. Maybe this mussel shell should be pointing at you. No, I like it behind the stem. You are sort of pointing at it. Different height. Let's move you downwards so you don't have to go quite as far up. Looking and listening. I'm looking and listening to just try and understand what my brain is thinking and what my heart is feeling about those clocks and where they want to go. That's quite nice because that's now giving that something to rest on. Keep this moment of the frame. Oh, now that's good. Clock, flower frame, grass frame, circular movement. Circular movement, circular movement, circular movement, connection, connection, framing, framing. Yep, I think I might have got somewhere that's making me happy. Grand, so I'm just going to feed this rusty wire through, give it a little curl up, and I'll dive in for a close-up. Thank you, as always, for your company today. I hope you've enjoyed that little sand dune beachy playtime. You will be seeing more of the Seth Apter dies, there's no question. I've only just started to play with them and discover things. Thanks so much for your company. I will link to as many videos as I can remember that are relevant in the description below, as well as listing the products that we've used today. Thank you for your company and happy crafting all. Just diving back on to say I have of course done the teensiest bit of white spatter, sea spray, salt spray, flickering across these tags, and just the most gentle, delicate bit of walnut stain blending around the edges just to draw the eye into the centre of those. Time to dive in for the close-up, and happy crafting all.